On behalf of the Work Better Now team, I'd like to welcome everybody to Working Better Now, a series on workbetternow.com featuring a Q&A with a successful business owner. Today, we are thrilled, and I'm especially thrilled to be joined by Larry Zogby, owner RDS Delivery Service based in New York City. Larry also happens to be a longtime friend and somebody that I've done business with for over 15 years. Larry, so much for joining us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah. I'm great. We're doing this, and normally these things are 20 minutes, but I know you and I can talk for days. So I'm going to jump right in. Let's start at the beginning. What does RDS Delivery do, and how did it get started?
It's a great question. It was born in the 1960s. Two brothers had it, and the acronym RDS actually stands for Radiology Delivery Service. In 1973, my father bought it, hated the service, and sold it to me and my brother in 1986. And we wanted to change the name from RDS Delivery Service just to RDS Same Day Delivery, just so in the title of the business, people knew what we did.
Gotcha. I know that's some heat going on in the background, no problem. So tell me, how many employees do you have now? Where does everybody work?
Great question. Pre-COVID, our head count was 130. We had an admin team of 20 and the balance of 110 boots on the ground between drivers and foot messengers. Post-COVID, our current head count is approximately 75 people.
Gotcha.
And the interesting thing is, yes, I was in New York City most of my life. 2 years ago, we moved to Long Island City. We have a 10,000 square foot facility. And since COVID began, everybody has worked in the office. Nobody has been working remote.
Interesting. Is that because people need to be on site, or was it more of a cultural thing?
It's both. So when I moved here, I invested north of $350,000 into this facility to make it as comfortable as it could be. And from a cultural place, it's a cool place to be. It's more comfortable than people's homes. And I'm sure you can work remote, but we're happier working together.
Gotcha. And I'm noticing the racing seats. Is that because you guys deliver things speedily?
You know what? You're the first person who said that, and I love it. So I'm always going to remember that. I have a company called Kick Charge who actually reinvented the brand in 2016. You're looking at it. And he coached me when I was designing my new facility. He coached me on everything from paint colors to wrap walls, right down to the chairs.
Gotcha. And tell us, so obviously way back when radiology companies or practitioners were your clients, who are your clients now, and what's the competitive landscape like now?
Great question. So back 1986, probably to about 1996, 100% of our revenue, or 95% of the top line gross revenue, was coming from the radiology world, moving medical records, films, reports from a radiologist or a referring doctor. As time progressed, you can now take reports and film and pass it through technology. So that type of service is almost extinct. However, the interesting thing about it was all of our relationships in hospitals and doctors' offices put us in position to deliver specimen and medical equipment. So 30% of our current gross revenue comes from the medical community, delivering medical specimen and hospital equipment. In regard to our competitors, I don't compete anymore with my competitors. We have a brand, I have an employee-based company, and most of my competitors use independent contractors. So it's two different animals.
Gotcha. How do you articulate that to your potential customers?
That would be one right there, because right. That brand lives, the brand lives everywhere, internally and externally. So when we made the investment in our own vehicles, we actually wrapped the vehicles through all of social media, digital brochures, and uniforms. It's an extension. Our team and our vehicles are brand ambassadors. And when you're working in the medical community, I don't think they want people wearing a do-rag and their pants around their ass. They want someone in a uniform with the brand to make them more comfortable walking around patients.
Yep. I mean, when I was in Manhattan, there wouldn't be a week go by where a week that went by where I wouldn't see a couple of your guys on the street. They're so recognizable because of the uniforms, which of course is branding, not to mention that it makes everybody feel a lot more confident in the service.
There is. And then I also actually bought a very unique messenger bag from Germany. And that added another dimension of branding, marketing, and advertising. Yeah. I wish I had it here to show it to you, but I don't.
If we look at the way RDS is run and how that's changed over the past 10 to 15 years, how has the way you run the business changed over the past 10 or 15 years?
So two things. I'll start with the technology platform. As we were growing up in the business, we worked with a company called DataTrack. And at the time, it sufficed. It helped manage us. But as the company grew, we needed to find another software provider that gave us internal tools for our internal customers, our team, and better tools from our customer. So what does that mean for a layperson? They have access to our portal, and everything we do internally is transparent to them. From the time we pick up, deliver, whether they get an email, a text, they can see everything. Every move is transparent. So having technology at the highest function helps us to be more efficient and makes the experience more pleasant for the customer.
Gotcha. Let's talk about, sorry, go ahead, Larry.
Take it a step further. In the pandemic, I felt guilty about investing money in my company. I invested into 655-inch flat screen TVs. And that was to every single week, we share about 7 slides of metrics for our team, because every decision they make affect gross margin. And we're constantly educating our team through numbers.
So do you call them KPIs or do you call them something else?
No, we call them KPIs. There's about 7 screens. We don't want to give them any more than 7 screens. And we give them a 6-week spread so they can see.
Gotcha. You mentioned COVID. Speaking of COVID, how else did COVID change your business, and what pivots did you make?
It was a blessing in disguise. It's a great story. The Little Beat, a customer of mine for about 7 or 8 years. They have about 8 different stores, and they come under the Offrey brand. Offrey brand has a lot of restaurants. I'll never forget, he calls me up, managing partner. His name is Andy Duddleston. He said, look, we know the governor's going to shut us down. I'm sitting here with a ton of food. Help me get it to the churches, the non-for-profits, to the pantries, so they can give it away and it doesn't go to waste. And the answer was yes, 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 and we did it. That single act of kindness, random act of kindness by just helping, morphed into over 350,000 meals delivered. Wow. And we continue to deliver meals every single week.
Wow. I saw a lot of that on your social media feeds. It was really impressive to watch that.
It doesn't stop. It's a gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And what happened to your revenue during COVID and how?
Yeah, very scary. So you can imagine, I'm in business 34 years. We make the biggest transition of our life from New York City to Long Island City, 10,000 square foot facility. In the 13th month, COVID hits. And by latter part of April or May, we're down 60%, 55%. And we're very grateful. Every single day, every single week, we were able to build it back up to 85% of top line gross revenue.
Wow. And how did you do that? Was it the economy coming back a little bit? Was it something that you did?
Yeah, it was definitely something that I did. I'm going to speak to the food portion of it, the meal delivery of it. So in April and May, when everyone's working remote and we started getting these weird requests about food delivery, it was foreign to me. So on every time I got a phone call, I would go into the city myself and look at the opportunity. And I saw where the restaurant was struggling. I saw I saw all the logistics of the problem. And so people on both sides of the coin were grateful that I showed up, but then I saw the opportunity. And I just mimicked that all the way throughout the pandemic. And that really is what just kept getting us new opportunities, because there was a trusted person, boots on the ground, And all people wanted it wasn't about price. They just wanted to trust someone to get it done.
Wow. That's a classic entrepreneur tale, right? That you saw an opportunity. That's what entrepreneurs do. They see where other people see problems. Guys like you and I and our other clients and other people you know and your friends in EO, they see opportunities and they see a way to fix it.
But the people are so grateful because they couldn't be there. They see it in their mind. They're working from home. They don't want to go in the street. And I'm being 100% vulnerable. Here's the problem. Here's the challenge. We can do this, yada, yada, yada. And it just kept going.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And just to clarify for those people not in the New York area, Larry had his office in Manhattan, which is part of New York City, and is now in Long Island City, not to confuse anymore, which is in Queens, which is part of New York City. So he basically made the move from Manhattan to Queens across the East River. Larry, tell us a little bit about what your team looks like. You obviously have people in cars and on streets and on bikes. And you have dispatch. What does your team look like?
I'm going to take it one step back. I'll go to bikes. In the mid 1990s, I was probably into this business only about 7 years. Workers' comp showed up and said, "Yo, it's 150 grand." I was young, naive, put bikers in uniforms. They got into accidents, and it just upped the ante of workers' comp. And we don't have bicyclists working for us anymore.
Gotcha.
So we use foot messengers and vehicles, but I think you were going down a path of what does the admin look like?
Okay, so you got people in the vehicles, you got foot messengers, and then what's the rest of the team look like?
The rest of it looks like this. You have customer service reps, inbound, answering phone calls, processing orders. You have the dispatch team working with logistics, making sure we assign the right jobs in the right time frame to service the customer. And around that whole circle, you'd have sales support, accounting, the CFO, human resource, IT, and manager of operations. That's about it.
So if we look at the people who are interacting with customers, are people calling in orders these days, or are they doing it all online?
Yeah, that number keeps we measure, it's about now 43% of all orders come through our portal. And through constant education with our customer base and them feeling more comfortable, they don't even want to call us anymore, especially with the next generation and the way Amazon and all the big box stores have taught people, you don't need to call. Press a button and it happens.
Right. Gotcha.
And that's really a great thing for a few reasons. It keeps the customer more sticky because they're in our portal. And that's really important.
Right. It should be even easier for them over time, for sure, right? Less mistakes as well.
And more cost effective because you're not spending money to process an order.
Gotcha. When you look at your role as owner, what do you consider that? What do you do as an owner? What is your job? How do you look at that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I spend a lot of my time on culture, but because we moved, I now have the physical asset to host all the right events and have invest time, effort, and energy in planned events and surprised events. So we probably have 8 to 10 events a year internally and externally celebrating the team. So it's around culture and it's around the leadership team reporting up to me and sharing metrics and how to make better decisions and educating them on the numbers. Those two things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because you know what's apparent when you say that is you're not the person who's doing everything. You're really, again, focusing on culture, obviously setting the strategy in place, and then your team is empowered. Plus, they have the KPIs to see how they're doing. They don't have to wait to hear it from you. They see it on the screen.
Can't do it anymore. When I was a kid, I was in the middle of the tornado and I could touch everything like an octopus. Right now, my only job is having 7 or 8 people report up to me, share metrics, and invest in the internal community so they feel great and they could treat not only my customers great, but the couriers and the drivers. Awesome. It's a rippling effect through the company.
Fantastic. Let's switch gears a little bit. Both you and your brother David hired VAs from WBN. I think it was late last year. Tell us about, I know your VA is Diana. Tell us about your experience with Diana and with WBN.
Let me tell you about the first experience. So in the middle of being at 45 or 50% here, I'm thinking like, why would we want to recruit anybody? But as the months and as the weeks and the months got better, we got a huge contract in August for about 175 or 200,000 just for the month of August. And I saw the legs on the contract, how it could extend, but not to that great length, but it could extend. And we said to ourselves, if we're going to do anything, we have to test the waters. But I got to give you credit. 6 months prior to the pandemic, you took the time, effort, and energy. As a matter of fact, I think you had a VA, booked the appointment, and we got to share where we were in our lives, right? You remember that meeting?
Over lunch, sure.
And you told me about the VAs, and it always stuck in my mind. And in August, I spoke to my brother about it, and I said, part of our responsibility is to use company resources to test new ideas. And one of those new ideas was to help support that account. So we reached out, your partner and David connected, and we got one on board. And I got excited by that opportunity, and then he connected me to Diana. And I could speak in detail to a VA and Diana, but I will preface it with this. If we don't have a great job description, if we don't have great metrics, and if we're not committed to training, it'll all fall apart.
That's right.
And I've invested a lot of time with Diana, and it's a beautiful thing right now. And I'm very proud of her. In less than 2 months, she's learned our courier platform, our CRM called Maximizer. She's learning MailChimp. She's invested over 50 hours in Calendly just to suck out all of the juice so we could leverage that technology. She's handling our inbound quotes, and she's in El Salvador, and she's booking appointments on Calendly. And I smile every single time.
Right, right. Modern technology. What with having Diana, what has that enabled you and maybe even your team to do that you weren't able to do, just maybe 6 months ago?
So it's a double-edged sword. I'm going to give you the pro, and I'm going to give you the con. Especially in the middle of a pandemic, as our team sees that we're working with VAs, they feel like their jobs are threatened. So every single day in a stand-up meeting, I share and explain why I'm using a VA. And that's important. Otherwise, if there's not buy-in to the VA, we can't get leverage. So, and I shared with your partner, we'll never let go of somebody here to exchange them for a VA. As we continue to scale, we're going to scale through VAs. The other question is, how did Diana help us? This is what I'm finding, whether you hire recruit a VA or you recruit a new employee. And when you make that commitment, all of a sudden you're required to have a greater sense of accountability for job and accountability. And she has taken on a lot of responsibility, and she has no more room. She has no more bandwidth, and I need to hire the next one. And right now, I just got off the phone with her before you. She's in the middle of creating her job description, not only the job description, but a flow chart to make it easier for them to visually see how to do her job.
Gotcha. Has there been anything that you're able to do now, you're able to spend more time on now that you weren't able to do before, or your team, or do better?
Yeah, I'm more excited to hire more VAs because I've realized how many dormant projects are sleeping. And because I've ignited a fire by recruiting a VA and they're being successful, I see 4 more projects that have to happen. And I need more VAs. What do they look like? So Diana's currently doing inbound sales from the website, but now she's my personal assistant. So what's getting backed up? My inbound leads. Then I realize I need someone dedicated just to all social media platforms, right?
Right.
And so, and there's more around the bend. So it's really amazing when we, as an entrepreneur, test resources, but it will fail if there's no job description and there's no accountability, no metrics, and no training. I can tell you right now, I would talk to your partner. If they don't have those 4 things, they shouldn't even take it. They shouldn't let them recruit if they don't have those 4 things in play.
Couldn't agree anymore. So thanks for sharing about Diana. Glad it's working out so well. So when you're not working, which I know is a lot, What do you do? What is Larry Zogby doing?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm 56. My kids, I have adult children. They're 31 and 32. My wife would always say, "You're having an affair," and I say, "Yes, I'm having an affair with my business." At 56, I know my business inside and out, and I have a goal where I enjoy what I'm doing. So the question is, I'm here 6 days. I give my family Saturday night, all day Sunday. That's the agreement. And what do I do on Saturday night and all day Sunday? I give my wife time. I have a grandchild who's 18 months, and how I can connect with my daughters, their husbands, yada, yada, yada. Community stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. So Larry, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. Where can people find out more about you and RDS?
They could visit our website at rdsdelivery.com. They could actually do a meet and greet. Why don't you set, wow, we'd love to do meet and greets. Even through the pandemic, we have people coming to meet and greet at our facility. We do FaceTimes. You can call me personally, 917-418-7105, or check us out online at rdsdelivery.com.
Fantastic. Larry, thanks a lot, and really appreciate it. And we'll be speaking with you soon.
You got it. Thank you.